Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Reporters Plus here on France 24. I'm Mark Owen. In this edition, China's crackdown on the Muslim Uyghur minority. Human rights campaigners say that over 1 million people have been interned in concentration camps in the far west province of Xinjiang. According to Beijing, the official Chinese line on this is that the Uyghurs are voluntarily signing up to re-education programs. In reality, entire families are forced out of their homes, their houses left empty, and they disappear overnight. Our reporters Angélique Fauché and Antoine Vidier have travelled to Xinjiang many times to film our special report. China doesn't like Western journalists asking questions there. They've also been as far afield as Canada, Kazakhstan, Turkey and even here in France to gather first-hand testimony about the treatment of Uyghurs at the hands of the Chinese. This is their report.
It's a feeling she had forgotten. Something she thought she would never get back. Six months ago, on the banks of the river Bosphorus in Istanbul, GULBAHAR JELILOVA rediscovered freedom.
Today, I feel free. I feel good. I feel free to breathe, free to feel the rays of the sun on my skin.
GULBAHAR is from the Uyghur ethnicity. For 1 year, 3 months, and 10 days, she was trapped in a camp in the west of China. An ordeal that began in May 2017 when police arrested her in a hotel room.
I was exhausted. They took me into a secure room with heavy metal doors, which made a lot of noise when they were opened. The room was around 20 meters squared, and there was no window. There were about 40 women inside. Half of them were standing up. The others were lying on the ground against each other. All of them wore heavy chains on their feet.
In the cells, GULBAHAR says conditions were difficult, with a lack of basic hygiene, water and food. She also says she was subjected to brainwashing. They wanted her to give full allegiance to the Communist Party.
Once a week, they showed us a video of Xi Jinping. Then they told us to write assessments on ourselves. They wanted to make sure our ways of thinking changed and improved. Every Monday at 9:55, we had to stand up and sing the Chinese national anthem. For the rest of the week, we had to sing 5 songs every day. Oh, I've forgotten the rest.
Chilai, chilai, chilai. Na 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 na.
We sang this kind of song. If we didn't sing, they didn't give us any food. And then they punished us.
Around 100 camps are thought to have been established in western China, like the one that GULBAHAR describes. Immense complexes within which, according to NGOs, there could be more than 1 million Uyghurs imprisoned. Uyghurs are a Turcophone Muslim ethnic group mostly found in the Xinjiang province. The Chinese authorities have transformed this region, 3 times the size of France, into a sprawling police state. Beijing has been pressuring this community due to a number of uprisings in Xinjiang over the past few years. All were violently repressed. The Uyghurs say they are victims of wide-reaching discrimination. Under the excuse of launching a clampdown on religious extremism, and in response to several attacks carried out by the Uyghurs, the Chinese authorities now aim to re-educate them in camps. 10% of all Uyghurs in China today are thought to be imprisoned in these camps. Men and women from every social class have been caught up in the wave of repression. Local pop star Ablajan Awood upheld Uyghur culture and identity in his songs. He has also been imprisoned in this new system of Chinese concentration camps. Vancouver in Canada is over 9,000 kilometers away from Xinjiang. It was here, on the campus of the prestigious University of British Columbia, that Sean Zhong, a 29-year-old Chinese man and law student, became one of the first to prove the existence of the camps.
I saw many news talking about Xinjiang is building a lot of education camps. At first, I'm actually a little bit skeptical about it because I never heard about this kind of things before. So I decided to check it myself and do some research.
From his bedroom, he started to gather official Chinese documents online. Government tenders, construction permits, equipment orders. Using the addresses he'd uncovered, he managed to locate camps on satellite images and drew his own map, which he then published on his blog.
Most camps I find is in South Xinjiang, like this is KASHGARI, this is YACOB, and this is HARRI. This is not a complete map of re-education camp in Xinjiang because I only have satellite images for some major cities.
According to Sean, there are hundreds of camps all over Xinjiang, easily identifiable because they are built differently to prisons.
From the pictures, I can definitely tell it is a detention facility. Like you can see, you can see the watchtower here, and this wall is like it's about 3 to 5 meters high if you compare it with the shadows of. It's very typical. I see this feature in many other camps.
High-security camps appear to have spread swiftly. On this vacant lot in 2016, there were only a few houses. 2 years later, it has become this enormous camp. 166,000 meters squared of buildings have sprung out of the earth. According to a restricted document that Sean was able to dig up, this camp could house over 8,000 people.
Obviously, this camp is expanding. I think one reason is they are detaining more and more people there. They have to build new camps to accommodate new detainees.
We visited Xinjiang province several times hoping to get near one of these camps. Foreign journalists were not welcome there. As soon as we arrived, we were followed by several vehicles like this white car. or this one. We were frequently stopped and questioned by men in plain clothes. And forbidden from filming in the street. After 3 stays in the province, we were arrested 7 times in total. Like on this road near the camp, a police roadblock that stopped us from going further. We were then taken to this police station, where agents verified our identity and interrogated us. We filmed secretly.
You are journalists? In Shanghai? What did you come here to do?
We told them we were here to film the camps.
There is no re-education camp here.
So there's no camp here in Dabansheng?
No, there isn't.
Yes, there's a big one. There are lots of people there.
No, there isn't one.
The camp of Dabansheng can be seen on this satellite image, but we can't get near it. These policemen keep forcing us to make U-turns. For the 11 million Uyghurs in Xinjiang, their province has become a kind of open-air prison. Police headquarters and checkpoints crisscross the region. The Uyghurs are constantly searched. And the contents of their mobile phones checked regularly. Xinjiang is at the forefront of a new facial recognition system now deployed across China. Hundreds of thousands of cameras watch every street and every mosque. They can even be seen on the inside of taxis and the entries to public toilets. For Uyghurs, life under surveillance is no longer their only burden. Now they risk being sent to the camps at any time. They're not alone to suffer this threat. All minorities present in Xinjiang suffer from the same repression. The Kazakhs, the Tatars, and the Kyrgyz. In some towns, entire neighborhoods have been emptied of their inhabitants. Doors of shops and houses have been sealed up. All the families who lived here, in this street in Urumqi, the capital of Xinjiang, have been arrested. The house next door is closed, isn't it? Why?
Yes, this house here. And the one next door is the same, they're closed.
Where did the people go?
The people?
A neighbor interrupts, but refuses to be filmed. Do you know why these houses are closed?
Yes, they've gone to Dabansheng.
Dabansheng is the camp we've tried to get near, where 10,000 people could be locked up.
So many people have been sent there.
The man won't say any more and signals for us to leave. During one of our stays in Xinjiang, using some GPS coordinates given to us by Sean, we managed to approach the camp seen on this satellite photo. This is rare footage. We are in Hotan, in the south of the province. There are at least 8 camps in this city. This one looks brand new. The windows are closed and barred. In front of the enclosure, these children, accompanied by their grandparents, say their father is imprisoned there. What is this place?
It's a school, a place to learn.
To learn what?
The national language.
Do you know why your father is there?
I don't really know.
A few meters away, this man also says one of his family's locked up. Do you know people inside?
Yes, my big brother is in there.
Why?
He's studying.
But why was he sent here?
We don't know.
Do you know what he's studying?
The Communist Party.
We weren't able to go inside the camp. But in the west of Xinjiang, one Chinese journalist was able to film with a hidden camera. In August 2018, the building was still under construction. Since then, more than 1,000 people have been locked up there. Inside, there appear to be dormitories that looked like prison cells. On each floor, 3 classrooms, like this one with slogans on the wall. Follow the directives of President Xi Jinping on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. On the other side of the Chinese border in Kazakhstan, we met a woman who was a key witness of what she said was really happening inside the camps. SAYRAGUL SAUYTBAY is Chinese of Kazakh ethnicity. In November 2017, she was forcibly taken to a camp and made to teach Mandarin to detainees. Released 4 months later without knowing why, today she lives in exile. This is the first time she's spoken in front of a camera.
Every day I had to make the prisoners work. I needed to make them say hundreds of times, thousands of times, "I am Chinese, I am proud of China." They had to say these sentences standing up, saying them loudly, and I had to guide them thousands of times. They had to pronounce their love for Xi Jinping and for the Communist Party. When I went to the class, there were 2 armed policemen following behind me. When I gave the lessons, they stayed behind me. Everything I taught was recorded, and the policemen stayed at the door.
She says there were 2,500 detainees of Kazakh or Uyghur ethnicity inside the camp. On several occasions, SAYRAGUL says she witnessed violence.
Sometimes when I was giving the class, the armed policemen burst into the classroom. 2 or 3 people would be forcibly removed from among the detainees. I never saw those people again. Sometimes in the evening at dinner, we would hear people calling out for help. Those voices, they were the saddest voices I've ever heard. We thought they were being tortured.
According to SAYRAGUL, these prisoners taken in for re-education were instead being tortured and abused. She says there were other abuses.
The prisoners were also given injections. They weren't shots that were meant to heal them. They were injections that were like torture. They were used to take control of their minds. The people in the camps had no strength to rebel.
Injections to make prisoners docile. In Istanbul, GULBAHAR JELILOVA told us that she was also subjected to injections in the camp where she spent more than a year.
They injected us from time to time. We had to stick our arms out through a small opening in the door once a week. We soon realized that after the injections, we didn't get our periods anymore. Mine stopped 1 month after the start of my detention. Then we no longer thought about anything. We no longer thought about our relatives, our families. I didn't know where I'd been born. I felt like I'd always lived there. We no longer felt the cold and the hunger. It's as if we were just pieces of meat that had been put there.
Beijing denied the existence of these camps for months, but eventually recognized them and gave them a legal framework.
您好，观众朋友，欢迎您收看今天的焦点访谈。
In this report, broadcast by state television, men and women can be seen learning Mandarin. They also receive vocational training such as sewing or carpentry. Housed in clean buildings and comfortable dormitories, all of them seem happy to be there.
Before I was poor in spirit, but now that's over. I can become rich.
I'd rather not think about where I would be if I weren't here studying. Maybe I would have joined the religious extremists and become a criminal. The government and the party found me in time, and they saved me.
We showed this video to GULBAHAR JELILOVA.
The camps where I stayed were not at all like that. We never left our 20-meter squared room. In this, they showed 10, 12 people and they said, look how well they're doing. But the people in all the other camps are suffering. I've just left a camp and I can tell you it's nothing at all like that. It's a lie. It's not true at all.
GULBAHAR describes women held against their will and arbitrarily imprisoned. In this notebook, she records the name of her fellow prisoners and the reasons for their arrest.
As soon as I remember a name, I write it down. Alia, locked up because she travelled to Turkey. Fatima, 52 years old, English translator, that's why she was arrested. Anisam, arrested because she kept a photo on her phone of a girl praying. Magarfret, she was arrested for wearing a scarf.
GULBAHAR JELILOVA was the director of an import-export company and was in China on business. She was released because she has Kazakh nationality, and the authorities there put pressure on Beijing to set her free.
I was doing business in China for 20 years. I'm not a terrorist. I'm just a normal businesswoman and a mother of 3 children. When I got home, my children told me they had never stopped fighting to get me out. I was lucky to get out of a place where they'd accused me of terrorism.
Like GULBAHAR JELILOVA, around 1 million Uyghurs live outside China. Among them, some fear a forced return to Xinjiang because the wave of repression launched by Beijing is now reaching over the borders of China. That's the case for members of the Uyghur community in France. For several months, the Chinese embassy in France has refused to give documents to members of the diaspora that are necessary in order to receive their identity papers. One Uyghur woman has agreed to talk on condition of anonymity due to threats to her family. She says she was the victim of blackmail, where she was made to return to Beijing to get her birth certificate or face her residence permit expiring in France.
Moi, je préfère de rester sans papier que rentrer, de mettre les pieds dans ce piège. Leur but, c'est qu'on est obligé de rentrer, voilà, et après, ils vont trouver une solution de nous faire envoyer au camp de concentration. Ils veulent nous faire rentrer tous les Uyghurs possibles.
Returning to Xinjiang and then arrested is what happened to GULBAHAR Haitiwaji. Settled in the Paris region for 10 years, This female engineer was trapped by her former boss in December 2016. He called her on numerous occasions to get her to return to China to sign some papers so she could receive a pension. GULBAHAR Haitiwaji did it. At the time, few people knew of the existence of the camps.
He didn't stop calling for a week. He had a very hard tone and he said, "Come back. You don't have any other choice. Come back. You have to sign these papers. We can't wait any longer. You have to come back." She took a ticket for 2 weeks and was supposed to return on the 10th of December.
On arrival in China, her passport was confiscated and her husband and 2 daughters lost all contact with her. They had no news for 6 months.
It was very hard, and then in June or July 2017, or about 6 months afterwards, my aunt called and said my mother was in a re-education camp. I believe she said, "She's in re-education, she's in training or at school." But we never realised it would go so far and that it would last so long with all these camps and millions of prisoners. We never imagined that.
For the time being, the French authorities say they cannot bring back her mother because she is the only one in the family not to have French nationality. But her family haven't given up hope. Today they have a visit from another Uyghur from Finland. For several months, HALMURAT HARRI has been travelling the world to meet the diaspora. For 2 years, the parents of this GP, both Uyghur officials, have been locked up in a camp. They have since been freed and placed under house arrest. But HALMURAT has not stopped fighting and has become one of the spokesmen of his community.
I think it's very important and significant for us, all of us, like exchange our experiences and encouraging us and show our sympathy to each other and let each other feel that we are not alone, and if we unite together, we will be powerful.
HALMURAT HARRI left Xinjiang when he was 19 years old. Today at 35, he lives in the Helsinki suburbs with his wife, who's also Uyghur, and their 2 daughters.
Well, we really enjoy to live here, and we feel at home here. Not because the culture and everything, because we enjoy freedom here. We live with our human dignity, human rights.
His last trip to Xinjiang was in summer 2016. That's the last time he saw his family.
Look, I show you something like my picture. There is a picture, so. See, it's me and my beloved wife. It's Uyghur traditional clothing. We took the picture when we last time visit our parents in Turpan.
Knowing his people were in danger, last year he created an association to identify the victims of Chinese internment camps.
I want to let the world know what happened to my people, to my parents.
In this video, he calls on all Uyghurs who know people imprisoned to bear witness. A few days after posting it, he received hundreds of replies.
Look, we have so many, like I can do it even like this, it doesn't end, like
almost 400 videos and other testimonies.
Like this little girl who had had no news of her father. Or this young man with American nationality.
Help release my father, a known Uyghur journalist, editor-in-chief from China's internment camps. He was detained since December 2017, and I have confirmed this information from multiple sources.
I see that I'm not alone. It makes you feel so sad, you know, because you can feel the pain. You have exact same struggle, exact same pain in you, and you can feel their pain, and it makes you so emotional. Sorry.
HALMURAT regularly organises protests to raise public awareness. On this day, Uyghurs have come from all over Europe to meet him in Helsinki. In their hands is a flag forbidden in China, that of Oriental Turkestan. Oriental Turkestan is the name the Uyghurs give to their region, which the Chinese call Xinjiang. Some Uyghurs think that the survival of their people relies on the independence of their region. Communist China has administered the province since 1949.
Is it the solution? That's a solution we will like to have. The reason is we have established independence in the past within the 20th century itself. First time in 1933 and second time in 1944. So we're not a country that has never established independence or never were able to run a government. We have a track record of doing that.
There is extra urgency for these protesters because everyone here has a father, a brother or a sister locked up. ERKIN YACOB has lived in Europe for 9 years. His nephew stayed behind in Xinjiang and was sent to a camp.
We feel really, how would you say it, weak, helpless. There aren't many of us, as you can see. There aren't many people who can speak up for us. They are suffering extremely. He's dying. I'm not exaggerating.
Gathered here, HALMURAT and the others promise to carry the voice of their community wherever they go. And not lose their loved ones to the biggest mass internment of the 21st century.
A report on the plight of the Uyghurs in China by Angélique Forget and Antoine Védier. This is Reporters on France 24. Stay with us.